Hey everybody, this is Rebel Builder and I have my TIE Bomber MOC. This thing was a great challenge, a lot of fun to build, but it presented challenges in a lot of different ways, and to be honest, I kind of underestimated this build. When you're sticking with source material, and in this case, we had 12 seconds, I think, of this thing appearing in The Empire Strikes Back, and it's appeared in a few episodes of Star Wars Rebels. So I was looking at those clips and just took lots of pictures off the internet that I could use and kind of base my design off. But it presented challenges when I was trying to adhere to details of the ship and then also some kind of structural engineering details. This thing surprised me with how big it is, basing it off of scale of, say, the First Order TIE Fighter. That's kind of where the scale began. I wanted it minifigure scale. And so it became big, it's really heavy and chunky, and it took a lot of structural kind of thinking to build it all across here and make the whole vehicle work. And first off, you can see I have this stand I built underneath it. It is really too heavy to be supported by the solar panels on the side here. So, in the universe, you can kind of see that they're actually hung when they're in hangars of Star Destroyers and bases and stuff, and then they launch from there. So I was okay with the idea of putting in a stand so it could actually be supported that way. I thought the size and the design of the solar panels would mimic what I had for the TIE Interceptor, and it was actually a different kind of design. The TIE Bomber seems to have more gray around the edges here, so I did that. I wanted to break it up. I've got the row of just the flat plates, and then I did a row of tiles and then less of the black showing here. And I just mixed it up with different plates and then these modified tiles, kind of giving it the same look as some of the TIE Fighter sets where they have, tiles and plates kind of mixed together. And also wanted to keep the design in line with those other sets as well, with this printed tile here that we see on the other TIE Fighters. But on the inside, replicating the amount of black versus gray on the solar panels. And as I said, this is minifigure scale, so I used the familiar TIE Fighter cockpit piece here in the same control yoke here. But because the design of the ship is actually much different than the normal TIE Fighter, it's 2 cylinders, and you can kind of tell by looking at the original ILM pictures of the real models that that's what they started with, 2 cylinders, and went from there, as opposed to the design of the TIE Fighter. So instead of using the piece on top that they used on the other TIE Fighter sets, I have a plate on hinges here, and that allows me to have access to my TIE Fighter pilot here inside. And to give you a better look inside, I removed my panel up here. You can see I have some black, some transparent red, and then a printed tile computer piece here. And on the side of the cockpit, you can see I have some printed tile computer panels. Now we're looking at it from the top. I have it rested on the backs of the solar panels here. But this whole section here and then the middle section here, it was just a lot of fun, a big exercise in greebling, just using whatever little pieces, these binocular pieces, grill tiles, just any kind of thing you can throw on there to give it a cool mechanical look. But let's also talk about color. Obviously the main ship is light bluish gray and black, but I wanted to give it some contrast. I have these sections of dark bluish gray and dark bluish gray details, but I also added splashes of sand blue. Now, that's 2 reasons I did that. Number one, the TIE Striker, the recent Rogue One set, has some sand blue in it. Just trying to throw in some color and mix it up there, I think. And I really like that. Sand blue is one of my favorite colors in LEGO. But also, the TIE Fighters in The Empire Strikes Back have a very blue tint to them. I think you could actually build a whole TIE Fighter out of sand blue and have it look pretty screen accurate. Now, I don't know if they did that on purpose or, if the actual models were gray and, they did some blue tinting when they were making the movie. So I wanted to kind of give a nod to that, since obviously they don't make a whole lot of parts in sand blue. I couldn't build this whole ship in sand blue. So I wanted to do that, kind of also have the tie-in to the TIE Striker, and hey, I just think it looks cool. And here's a look at the bottom, more specifically the targeting sensor. Now this thing was kind of a challenge to build and come up with a way to connect it. You know, it kind of comes out of the bottom of the bombing cylinder at this 45-degree angle. And it took me a while to come up with the idea, but I have these lift arms that are at the 45-degree angle. And this actually does kind of pivot a little bit because I couldn't figure out a way to lock it into place. But just kind of came up with a design, added some of these grill slopes in there. And it kind of just, you know, sticks out on the bottom. And I think you could kind of make the argument that you don't actually see that in The Empire Strikes Back, but it definitely appeared in Star Wars Rebels and a lot of the pictures and source material. So it was a good challenge. I'm glad I got it on there. And here is the front of the bombing section. Now there's kind of a hole in here. In this whole section, I went back and forth with quite a few designs, and this is what I settled on. You know, what we see in pictures and the Star Wars Rebels, you know, there's some details that go along here. Now, to me, if this was going to be a real set, you know, that would be an appropriate use of stickers. I couldn't come up with a design to kind of use pieces to kind of build 8 of these little notches around here. And then I came up with these 2x1 round slopes on hinges here, and then the round tile with the hole in the middle there, and these little hooks here. And because it's a dish piece, you know, these pieces actually slope back a little bit. All in all, I'm happy with the design. Another influence here was seeing the ship in Rebels, where it does seem like it's more of a cylinder, and the details around the edge were less pronounced. So once I went back and looked at those episodes, I kind of felt better about my ship. And this whole section in the middle here, I had a really fun time coming up with all these greebles. But one thing about the design I came up with that made it particularly challenging is this section is 3 studs wide. That seemed to be the right proportion. So when you're trying to fit everything in with 2 studs, that really created some challenges. So I did a lot of things with jumpers here underneath, and I was able to center these 2 stud wide pieces. But again, just grill slopes, binoculars, and then I like how I have these droid arms coming across there. I'm kind of proud of that section there. Now the fronts of these sections took some work too. Again, I went back and forth with a few designs, but I settled on using round slopes here, and then another layer, and then another layer up here, kind of stepping it down to kind of create kind of a sloping look. You know, that whole thing proved to be a challenge. Again, trying to create that cylinder look with, you know, kind of a flatter curved section on the front there. Now I didn't do any detail on the inside of here. This is all closed off. I didn't, you know, come up with any details of engines or bombs. And also the back half of this section is closed off. You know, I have some supports going on in there, and, you know, I could detail out some engines, but again, just trying to create kind of a model to look at. Now the engines in the back here were also another challenge. Again, the vehicle would kind of have kind of a cone here, and this thing would be recessed inside. And I couldn't quite come up with any kind of design where I could build a round section around here and then have some slopes and stick this inside. So I kind of compromised with the 6 stud inverted dish here, and this is a 8x8 round plate. So, you know, it's not a perfect design, but, you know, I think that was a pretty good solution I came up with. And you can see some little designs, little added details I put on the inside here. But in general, I kind of followed the TIE Striker design that they use with the slopes. So these are all 2x3s on the top here, 2x3s on the side, and 2x3s on the side there. And then these 4x6 inverted slope plates there. So you can see that's how I came up with the round design and the cylinder design. Again, taking some nods from that TIE Striker, and also using those techniques that Lego uses to kind of push my own building techniques and try to come up with something new. Now Brickset is running a contest right now where you can kind of create your own Lego Star Wars set, and they had some very specific sets in mind that they wanted to see, and one of them was the TIE Bomber. But one of the parameters was building in a play feature. Now, I kind of talk about how I don't like spring-loaded missiles and those kind of things, but because I'm entering this in the contest, I did have to come up with something. So you can see this guy kind of sticking up here, and what this is actually a trigger. And then if I pull this off, you can see underneath I have some missiles down here. Move the stand out of the way, and you just press this button here and drop some bombs below. And here you can see this Technic brick in here, and the flick fire missiles just push into there, and that trigger just pushes down on them from the top, so it's not a super sophisticated kind of mechanism. Now, one thing about this ship is it does have some weight to it. I think if I were going to take some more time, I would work on maybe using some more Technic pieces on the inside, making it a little lighter. But really, I was going for look, and you know, I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. Now, I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this, so leave me a comment down below and thumbs up this video. I'd love to have a discussion with you. I know there's lots of TIE bombers being built right now. You know, I'm pretty happy with how mine stacks up against those. There's some other great builds and great ideas out there. So I really had fun entering in this contest and really challenged myself. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I got more builds in the works and you don't want to miss out on those. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back soon.